supposed to be here. Yeah, so and judges, while you are scoring, what will happen is on the back end, we will have, I will have to share screen again. We will have something like this that my team will, once you score, these will turn to white and green, and that's when we move on to the next team. Let me just remind you the rules of pitching again. Each team gets 5 minutes to pitch. Judges, you have 8 minutes to ask Q&A. I will try to be democratic and keep it moving around. But also because some of the challenges were very specifically answered, so I may give additional questions to the answer team who are here. And of course, judges, please be as positive as possible, as constructive as possible. Avoid statements, I think, and this could have been that. We would love that to happen. We will try to get the teams to connect with you on a different call sometime, but today we would love to be on time. Teams, like I said, we do not have the feature of spotlighting the timer. So Rashid, can you just put your timer on? 8-minute timer on, Rashid. Yeah, 8-minute one, please. So can the teams confirm that you're able to see the timer in the gallery view? So you can, when you go for pitching, you can just pin that timer so that you are able to be cognizant of the time that's on for. Cool. Okay, so let's get started. TiEU Ismail from Pakistan. Assalamu alaikum. You're ready? Can you please share your screen?
Am I audible?
You're audible and clear. Judges, please note this is Team EcoScan.
Okay.
Okay, I can see the Titanic being sunk or something.
Hi. So, okay.
Hold. I just spoke to you some time ago. We don't need to run in life, okay? Sometimes it's okay to be relaxed. TiEU, yeah, give me a good smile. Take a deep breath. Just relax. Rashid, can you put your timer on for 5 minutes? Your time starts now.
Okay. So, our team is EcoScan. My name is TiEU Ismail. I am presenting our solution. So, let's first go over the problem statement. So, the problem statement is obviously that we have to make sure that the segregation of the waste streams can happen by material type, and that is easier and economical at the point of use. So obviously where the customers are using them. And also along with that, they have recommended that we use behavior-based tools and we use technology that is affordable and which helps reduce the risk of contamination. So for that, our solution has 3 parts. So the first part is gamification. So the first part is gamification, in which we reward the users for the correct disposal with BLE or a QR code system. The second part is a behavior training and reinforcement program. And the third part is a lock with RFID and barcode scanning. So let me just let you have go through it. So this is a basic drawing I made. So for example, this will be the bin. These are the 2 RFID scanners. This is the audio module. This is the light module. This is the camera module. This will be the BLE device, and this will be the lock. So what our solution is that, for example, a person, when he engages with the bin, first of all, there is gamification, so that the person has through the BLE device, if the person has the app of our app on the phone, so the BLE devices notices the person and it logs the person in that this person is using the bin. Second part is that as if they dispose properly, then obviously it will show that they have disposed properly, so they can get points for them, or which can be redeemable at a later point. So this is basically an app-based reward, so that people are incentivized to actually want to recycle. The second part is the locking mechanism, or with the RFID and barcode scanning. So what happens is the RFID scanner scans the material and it checks if the material is proper, and if it is a Chemtech or a CleanGuard solution, then they can just dispose of it in the bin. If it's not, then obviously there are the light modules and the audio modules, and it shows there's a red light blinking, and there is obviously voice that's saying that it does not match. So it makes sure that the person knows that he's throwing away the wrong thing. The next part is that we are doing 3 levels of verification. There's the pre-disposal check, there's the post-disposal check, and then there's the alert system. So first we check it before we're scanning it, and then afterwards the person has, if he's thrown it into the bin, there are RFID scanners inside the bin to scan the recyclables and check if there is no hidden recyclable, if they haven't gone lazy and just thrown away in a bundle. So it scans again, and if they haven't thrown away in a bundle, then obviously if they have, then it alerts the alert system, and then they can call the supervisor and stuff like that. So what we have done is, along with that, there's image recognition software, so that it checks it takes pictures of inside the bin, and if it can see that there is gloves in the separate PPE department, then in the bin, then obviously it alerts the system with either a red light, or it sends alert to the supervisor, or if there is a glove in the other, if there are other PPEs in the glove bin, then it also sends the alert to the supervisor. Along with that, we want to show behavior-based training and enforcement. So there are color-coded bins, there are audio and visual prompts, so that person opens the bins, there is audio playing that please only throw gloves in this box, or please only throw this other recyclable in this box. And then there is obviously initial training to tell about them that what they should throw and what they should throw properly, and how they should be throw recycling. So this is basically our whole system. Along with that, you can also implement is
Last 1 minute.
okay. So along with that, you can also incentivize your customers. So that, for example, you have your customers, you can ask them that if they want to pay for the bin, then their rewards or the recycling services will be for little or zero cost. So what this happens is the person thinks that they have some skin in the game, because they are paying something, they're paying some money, and they, even though they're getting low cost or zero recycling, they think they're in benefit. And the other part is they offer discounts for them on products if they're recycling properly and exceptionally. For example, Greenway, the awarding system. If you have different types of awarding systems, and if on certain levels you give certain discounts, then obviously people will want to buy CleanGuard and Chemtech recyclables more, because then they can dispose of it properly and then get discounts on it, so that obviously it will give them a profit margin. So this is my whole solution.
Wonderful. Bang on time, type. So good practice yesterday. Let's start off with the judges. You can probably stop screen sharing, so we can all see you. Wonderful. Let's start with the ladies first. Lena, you go first.
How many bins were you planning to place at each customer's facility?
Obviously, it depends on the customer's facility. Or, for example, if there's a single floor, then you can place, it depends on the amount of people who are using it. So if you feel like, that's why we added the customer service, we added the BLE devices, so it's fast. The person only has to come, it automatically logs the person into their accounts, and it automatically logs the person into the systems. And so they don't have to manually scan the QR codes or say their name or write down something like that. So it is a really fast process. It helps with the customer user experience like that. So I think it's a small facility. If you have 3 to 4, if you have around 4 bins, 2 for gloves and then 2 for other PPEs, so that can help. I think for obviously a bigger facility, you can decide according to the sectioning and decide on the groups and the like floors and stuff like that.
Next question to Manish, please. Lena, if there's time, I'll come back to you. Is that okay with you?
That's good.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm a strict professor.
Hi, Dave. So I'm just interested in the technology, particularly around detecting whether the right brands or product types have been effectively segregated. I know you mentioned this briefly, but just interested in how technology could really tell the difference between, let's speak about gloves specifically, right? A CleanGuard or a Kimtech glove versus another brand. Just interested in how that would actually function on a practical level.
Okay, so for example, the RFIDs, all of the Ansel solutions have RFID stickers built into their clothing. So what happens is when you dispose of it, the RFID will scan this the RFID, obviously the sticker, and it will check according to the database if they're matching it. If it's in the system, then obviously it is a clean tech or it's a CleanGuard solution. So if you throw it, then obviously if it's been disposed of it, you know that there are the things that are being disposed of are the things that you want them. The second part is the the camera makes sure that there is no gloves in the other PP bins and any other PP in the glove bins. So for example, people can become really lazy, and if they just scan one item, they open the bin and just throw it all together. So that's why there are multiple RFID scanners inside. They will check if there are any other RFIDs which are not compliant, then they'll obviously show the alert system. Or if they can scan, if they see there are any gloves, then that will also send the alert system. And then the person, the supervisor who is obviously, he's getting the alerts, he can just go it at the same time. Or if obviously you have the audio module at that time. So if it's saying out loud that please recycle properly, or if there's a contaminated item in this bin, the person will want to open the bin and then throw it properly.
Wonderful. Katie?
My interest is in scaling. So I noticed that when you refer to customers, I'm thinking that they are mostly commercial based. If you wanted to take this product and scale it larger to home use or personal, is there opportunity for that? And is this something that can be scaled on a much larger level?
Yeah. So basically, there are, even on a much larger level, there are bins in which they dispose of stuff. This is just one added step that they have to just, because the logging of the person through the Bluetooth device is automatic. So there's only one added person that they have to wait for a few seconds, it scans, and then they throw them in. So that is the only thing that's the only added time. That's probably like 2 to 3 seconds. So that's the only burden that is existing, because people are throwing them in the existing bins. So it is scalable, and along that, if you ask your customers, for example, to pitch in, if you say that if you buy this certain number of bins, if you want to cut down on the initial cost, if you ask them, if you buy these bins, then we will give you a discount on our recycling services, or make it low to little recycling services, which is obviously already the plan of Ansel. So then you can have them have some skin in the game, and you can say that, okay, they think that we have installed these bins, so they will want to utilize it properly. And if you at the end of the year in the award ceremony and stuff like that, if you, according to those facilities who are disposing of it properly, if you give certain incentives, such as for certain level of discounts or something like that, people will want to buy cleantech or kimguard recyclables more. Why? Because they will feel like they can get the discounts through that. Obviously, they're using the product. It doesn't matter to them if it's a separate brand. So they will just be, they know that there's an incentive that if they're using the Kimtech brand, then they have a chance of getting a discount.
Wonderful.
Yeah.
Rupesh?
Yeah, thanks for the opportunity. Quick question, right? Like, as you think about the cost of the system, and when I say cost, I just don't mean the dollars, like which you estimated to be $100, but like the time cost for a commercial customer specifically, right? For the consumer, for the home use, it's understandable. I am the person using it. I see a dollar benefit. But how are you going to convince a medical professional who has to kind of remove the gloves like 150 times, like in an hour, to spend that extra 2 seconds, 3 seconds, to kind of do the right thing, which is good for the company and good for the environment. But what are you going to tell them to convince them to do more?
Okay, so obviously the problem statement was to offer a solution which is at the point of use. So the customer maybe, I'm pretty sure when they're throwing it away, you can maybe have a, I'm not sure if obviously 2 to 3 seconds. I don't think that's a lot of time, but obviously to medical professionals and stuff like that, it can be life changing for them. So there is the incentive of, if you are doing it properly, then you do get obviously praise from the company. And on top of that, because you're incentivizing the companies through maybe further discounts, they will want to make sure that the system in place is so that the customers throw it away properly. Instead, they're losing money. So it can help them, because obviously if your boss asks you to do it this way and you're not doing it that way, so it's obviously you're not following the orders properly. So it's an incentive for the company to make sure that their employees are doing it properly, because then they get discounts in the end. So they don't feel like they're losing out at the end. So they might even have a certain person, if obviously they are buying in bulk, so they might even have one person on their own side, so to maybe dispose of it on their own, just so they can get that certain type of added discount, or added chance of having a, I don't know, profit margin. Yeah.
Wonderful. And we have around 35 seconds. So, Suhas, I'll keep you on hold for the next team because Lena represents the right cycle program. So maybe I'll give the last question to Lena again. Yep.
Was there any consideration for space limitations at the point of use?
Okay, so even though in the picture I showed the devices to be big, they're not that big. I showed it because of my drawing skills. So obviously, it doesn't matter how big the boxes are. It just has to be, if it's a really big box, then you can just have multiple RFID scanners. That's the only space-wise thing. Other than that, you can have it on top of it and have it as a detachable item. And then obviously, if the person, he detaches the whole system, he throws away the bag, and then he puts the detachable system back to it.
Okay, I'll have to stop you there, Tayyab. We are off time. So thank you so much. Judges, you can start scoring. And in the meantime, can I request Manish to take a minute and introduce himself and tell us what his superpowers are?
Well, thanks for putting me on the spot there, Pradeep. But yeah, I can share a little bit about myself. So my background is chemical engineering out of university. I joined Kimberly-Clark and joined their R&D department. Been through a number of different product categories, developing our PPE range, our wipers, and our washroom portfolio. I've spent time in manufacturing, startups of new machine and assets, as well as working as a process engineer in one of our tissue facilities. But I'd say probably over the last 13 years, I've really been more in the marketing space, progressively working from regional roles to global roles. And certainly since the acquisition that Kimberly-Clark made of our PPE business to Ansell, the divestiture, I now lead our global category and marketing team's efforts. And part of that does include our hugely valuable right cycle sustainability proposition, which really ensures that we take used PPE from our customers and we divert that used product away from landfill and ensure that we have a transparent, reliable, and affordable processing stream that gives confidence to our customers that we can find an alternative life for used PPE. So that's I guess a little bit about my background in a nutshell.
Thank you, Manish.
About the Right Cycle program.
So your superpower is you're the green guardian, right? Making the world a better place. which also happens to be the name of the next team that's on time. Green Guardian team, why don't you share screen? I am still awaiting scores from Lena. Once Rina's done, then we will let you pitch, but you can start sharing screen. Yes, I can. Wonderful. Can you make it full screen, please? Anna? No, it's still not on full screen mode. Yeah, wonderful. And I have scores from Lena as well. So Hannah, have you pinned the timer device? The timer window?
I haven't, but I have my own timer that I'm using to track, if that's okay.
Discount on the timing fees. Yep. Wonderful. And take a deep breath and your time starts now. Go.
Hello, everyone. Good morning. We are a team, Green Guardians, and we've taken up this sustainability challenge for Ansell. We're a 3-member team with myself, Adnan, and Haris, and we want to help Ansell come up with a solution that would help them effectively and safely sort used PPE that's eligible for the Right Cycle program. So as we know that recycling is a global issue, we're all trying to reduce the carbon footprint in landfills, which is a great cause. Help us make this world better than what we found it as. So Ansell is providing the Right Cycle program free of cost to its customers. And the only contingency or the constraint is that it has to be a certain brand, which is Kimled and CleanGuard. So how do we ensure that the customers are properly segregating these brands as well as the material type that might be nitro gloves compared to polypropylene or some other plastic material? In addition to that, we want to also minimize the hazardous waste. So the shipment does not contain any contaminated material, because if that happens, the shipment tends to be rejected, which is an additional cost to the customer. So we want to help the cost to the customer as well as Ansell in terms of properly segregating these material types. We also know that plastic takes a long time to decompose if it doesn't, is segregated properly, about 450 years. So again, the products that are accepted are the nitro gloves, eye protection, apparel, and masks, and these are in turn used to make consumer goods like furniture. So again, the challenge is about separating nitro gloves from other PPE, separating the brand, Kimlet Clendard, and reduce the contamination. We were inspired to this project because we work with a community-based organization that was trying to actually segregate landfill, compost, and other recyclable waste material. And we thought we could take our solution to Ansell's PPE segregation. So how we do this is we have actually built an image classification and object detection model that actually take images of these brands, material type, through cameras, which are high resolution cameras based off of IR and hyperspectral imaging, where they're able to identify the differences between the brand type and the materials. Also, if there's any contamination, there are higher object detection models like YOLO that would localize the image, and it would be able to detect what kind of contamination might be present on a thing. So here we can also, put it on a conveyor belt system. When the user takes off the gear, they can put it on a conveyor belt system with cameras and sensors would take the images that would be backed by the AI classification model, and then these conveyor belt system would, divert them to the appropriate bins. So that's how segregation would happen at a higher level. Now, going forward, the technologies that we have used are the infrared and hyperspectral images for precise material identification, IoT sensors for real-time monitoring, and the machine learning models that would detect the brand classification, as well as hazardous or non-hazardous material. Here's a solution process flow. So the way it works is that the customer would at a low volume, they would have bins where they would put their PPE gear. Here it will be having spectral imaging, which would be backed up by the classification models to segregate them. Object detection would happen. It would identify the PPE type and the material, and then they would go through normally some sort of machine can intervene like a robotic arm and put it in the appropriate bin, and that would end up in the PPE sorting process. So here's like a visual how it works. You would have different kind of PPEs depending on the brand type as well as the material contamination level, which would be detected with the AI computer vision solution. Segregation would happen by bins. Once the images are taken, and the bins would it would be able to prompt the alert which bin it goes in, and therefore we would reduce the landfill. Here we have implemented our model where we have used Hugging Face to implement our model. Here you have an option to give a picture to the model and let the model tell you if it is organic waste or a recyclable. So here it would be able to identify by about 84% that this is organic waste. Likewise, we can take this concept for PPE gear. And future plans, it would reduce wrong contamination, wrong PPE deliveries. It would, help us with better planning, and then can have a broader application scalability. And then also Kimberly Clark wants to, minimize this, reduce environmental footprint by 50%, which we think our solution can help them achieve that. Thank you so much. That's all.
Wonderful. Thank you so much, Hannah. And this time we will start off with Suhas. Suhas, you're on mute, please.
Hey, Hannah, thank you very much for a good presentation. How much space requirement a small business needs to implement your program?
So the small business, depending on how many workers they have on an average, or we also wanted to extend it to the concept of being able to predict how much of PPE gear is being used in a certain day or an hour, and then depending on that, we would be able to identify if we need a smaller scale setup where they can just put it in the appropriate bins after scanning their gear, taking those images through the device, or if we needed a large scale model where there are conveyor belt systems, and then the mechanics could actually, the robots or the mechanical arms could segregate it to the appropriate bins.
Wonderful. Lina?
Have you evaluated the cost of the equipment that would be required at each of the end users?
So we don't have a ballpark figure, but we believe the technology we are using is AI based, and here we have like computer vision models, which are not very expensive to develop, and the hardware does not cost as much. So we are not expecting a high cost associated with this. Obviously, given like it is on a larger scale where we are applying conveyor belt systems, then there might be a higher cost to applying those hardware.
Thank you.
Rupesh?
Yeah. Quick question. Building on the question about before, right? In terms of like who is expected to fund the cost? Is it the customer or is it Ansel? Like who is funding and what's the economics behind it?
Sure. So as we understand that this is a free program that's offered by Ansel to its customers. However, the customers do have a shipping cost that they have to pay. So therefore, the need is to sort this out so the shipment does not get rejected at the point of where for the recycling facility. Because once it does get rejected, the customer has to pay again. So it would be Ansel that would have to pay the cost, I'm assuming.
Wonderful. Katie?
Yes. When you say customer, I'm assuming commercial businesses, hospitals, or doctors' offices. Is there any opportunity for home use? I think that would also include, some education to the consumer. There's a lot of home use for those similar supplies. So would there be any expansion opportunities to go beyond the customer also being personal or home use or smaller facilities, not only doctors' offices?
Sure. So that's where the idea sparked from because we're helping the small-based community organization where even though people know where they want to put their waste, like, you would know where you want to dispose your food or your plastic or, the compost, but sometimes we just don't tend to do it. So we wanted to make sure that at the small business and people are coming in for like some events, they're putting it in the right bin, like compost, recyclable, and landfill. So that's where the idea sparked from. And the idea was to have like a simple app on their phone or maybe a camera attached to the bins where they would scan it. And then it would prompt that it would be able to identify through that computer vision model that, hey, this is landfill, so it goes in this bin, and this is compost, so it goes in this bin. So the segregation would happen crazy. So we think that this idea can be implemented at a household level as well.
Wonderful. Manish?
I have two questions actually. Thank you, Hannah. So first one was really around, it would be interesting to get your thoughts on the fidelity of AI to really segregate whether or understand whether a piece of PPE that would be loaded into a bin would be of the correct brand, either Kimtech or CleanGuard or something else, and alert the end user, but also whether it's contaminated or not. So that's my first question. My second question was really around how you would enable the compliance of the user. So how do you incentivize the user or have visual guides or some form of aid that ensures the user is doing the right thing and putting the used piece of PPE in the right spot?
Sure. So to answer the first question, so there is, because this is backed up by technology, in terms of, so we identified that we want to segregate the brand, Kimlet, CleanGuard from other brands. And the way we would do it is by taking, high resolution images. That would be able to identify the differences between different brands. That's our first approach. Definitely, once we go through the implementation process, we'll know more. However, for material type, we want to go with the high resolution cameras, but then also there's infrared and hyperspectral imaging that does able to detect the material because of the way the light might reflect on these materials. So you could tell that these materials are different. In terms of hazardous or non-hazardous or contaminated material, there is a YOLO model for object detection where it would localize the images and it would detect the presence of any contamination on the object. So that is what our research did tell us. And I'm sorry, the second question was in terms of...
how do you drive compliance? So making sure the end user does the right thing, right?
Sure. So that's always a challenge because, people are lazy. But then we did think about giving them incentives in terms of rewards or points that can be, redeemed for merch or merchandise. I think that would be a decent incentive given the cost of the program.
Thank you.
Katie? Katie's done already, right? So we've done all judges one round. So Lena, you have one more question.
All of my questions have been answered, thanks to the rest of the team.
Wonderful. Okay. Any other judges? Or if you don't have any questions, maybe Manish, because you represent Ansel, if there's some feedback you would like to give the team. Before that, Rupesh and Katie and Suhas, no more questions, or you have any question?
I have one quick question. I think since you're collecting data at different various points and you're using an AI model, where do you bring the intelligence of collection of all this data to for your stuff to become smarter?
Sure. So one idea we came up with to have the data accumulated in Ansel's local database, and then this could we will have a historical data that would help us with more predictions. It would also help us with the inventory or what's happening. We could do different analytics or have dashboards to be able to track all what's happening with the PPE sorting within Ansel.
Awesome.
I'm not sure if I answered your question, but I think it was along those lines.
Cool. So we have around 20 seconds. Maybe we will move to the scoring so that we kind of keep on track. And then maybe Manish, you can kind of summarize all the feedback at the end. That'll be a great thing. I already have Katie's scores in. So can I request Katie to tell us what her superpowers are?
I knew that was going to happen. Thank you. Good morning, all. My name is Katie Calabrese. I'm located in New Jersey. My background, I'm a professor of education, working for both 4-year and 2-year colleges within the state of New Jersey over the last many years, I'm going to say. I've been both faculty, managing small business entrepreneurship courses, as well as non-credit community chamber-based courses as well, focusing really on major impact on the community from a business and entrepreneurship level. I've since left the college, and now my background is working for a nonprofit organization called NACCE. We're the National Association of Communities and Colleges of Entrepreneurship, and we're a national organization that focuses on educating leadership and administration at 2- and 4-year colleges on entrepreneurship, updating entrepreneurship courses, ensuring accreditation, and certificates and degrees for folks like yourselves to get a really good basis in entrepreneurship education and be able to apply it to the real world. And I do that in conjunction with Verizon. We have a number of funding sources through Verizon and NACCE where we help support all of your folks to do things like this and be able to expand your knowledge in entrepreneurship and apply it to the real world. So thank you for having me.
Awesome. So igniting the fire of entrepreneurship is your superpower. Thank you so much, Katie. And our next team is Blockchain for Plastics. Can we have them share their screen? 2 young gentlemen from Atlanta. Okay. Arnav and Arish. You want to go to present mode? Wonderful. Arnav, all set?
Yes. Ready.
Give me a good smile so I know you're all set. Wonderful. Your time starts.
Hello, so my name is Arnav Kumar.
And I'm Arush Yadav.
And our pitch is for Challenge S2 for the Right Cycle Recycling Program. So let's take a look at a key definition for this topic. We're going to take a look at PPE. So PPE stands for personal protective equipment. It's an $84 billion industry as of 2023. So there's millions of dollars in recycling potential. It includes anything from plastic gloves, plastic helmets, rubber gloves, etc. So let's take a look at the issue that Ansel and the industry is facing. It's that PPE waste is not sorted well. The quality of recycled plastics as a whole is very low, and only about 10% of collected plastics even end up being recycled. And then the other 90% ends up in landfills, in the oceans, and everywhere where it ideally should not end up.
And the culprit behind this problem is lack of transparency and reliability in sorting waste. So the primary issue Ansel faces is sorting between the various brands of PPE, that is CleanGuard and Kimtech versus the others, leading to a low quality of recycled output, and a lack of transparent records in sorting to create trust and reliability in the recycling industry.
So our solution is to leverage digital watermarking on PPE and manage that data using blockchain technologies. So let's take a look at the status quo of the digital watermarking situation so far. So currently there's an international effort ongoing known as the Holy Grail 2.0 project, which has partnered with over 150 entities in the plastic industry. They have a digital watermarking strategy, which is implemented on the technical side by a company called Digimark on plastic products that can be detected by high-resolution cameras at recycling hubs for separation. So this is a quick visual of how this works. To the naked eye, you're not able to see these digital watermarks, but then a high-resolution camera scanner will be able to see these at recycling stations and sort plastic accordingly.
So what we're proposing is a blockchain ledger to improve the traceability of PPE waste. Using the Holy Grail 2.0 codes, we'll create a ledger and a public record of the recycling history of PPE waste, which would improve the data about the life cycle of PPE waste and help Ansel collect more data to enhance recycling quality and output quantity. So how it will work is every piece of PPE will have a unique code identifying the brand, chemical composition, type of PPE, etc., which is linked to the Holy Grail QR code. And at the recycling station, we'll set up high resolution NIR cameras, which can scan this code and then add the data to the blockchain to create a record of the type, brand, and material of the PPE, and which will allow for both sorting and tracing of the PPE waste.
Okay, so an extension to this is since Ansel also creates products from latex, nitrile, and other materials, this simple watermarking strategy can be expanded to those products as well. So our idea is essentially formed at the intersection of partnering with the Holy Grail 2.0 project for digital watermarks on PPE, as well as leveraging blockchain technologies for quantity management. The potential for our idea is vast. First of all, there's going to be better sorting of incoming PPE waste, which means less goes to landfills, the oceans, and other places where sustainability is harmed. And then because sorting is better, the quantity and quality of goods produced from recycled PPE will be higher. And of course, there's better data due to the enhanced tracking.
And the impact of projecting for this project is vast. So the projecting is a stable year-by-year increase in the amount of plastic recycled. And we can project an increase in the percentage of recycling from 9% to as much as 30% in 5 years. And using the Holy Grail QR codes, we can reduce the rejection rate from 20% to as little as 5%, which is obviously very significant. It's a 4-time reduction. And so we made a basic cost benefit analysis for the project. So the main hardware requirement is an NIR camera to scan the Holy Grail 2 QR codes, which are very cheap. They're about $500 a camera. The initial blockchain setup cost for the entire project is $1,000. Software setup cost can be around $5,000. And the potential payoff for this is huge. So Ansel can save $50 per ton of PPE waste recycled. And over the 5 years, what we're projecting is an additional 73.5 million tons of recycled PPE across the industry, across all recyclers. And how we'll fund the project is through the cost savings of the increased recycling, subscriptions with recycle chain.
Last 10 seconds.
Okay, so we're both experienced in this field. We're back. Thank you.
Arnav, we are not able to hear you.
Okay, I think Arnav's breaking out, but what he was saying is that we're both extremely passionate and interested in this field. We both have experience working with technology, and I have experience in blockchain particularly. I have a patent in blockchain. And what we want to do is help bring sustainability to the world through technology. And that's our pitch. Thank you.
Wonderful. Thank you, Arnav and Arush. You can stop screen sharing. And maybe this time we'll go with Katie as the first question. Katie?
Thank you. My question is around the watermarking in particular, and I believe you mentioned watermarking Ansel products. Is there opportunities, and I guess this is a two-part question, is there opportunities to watermark other brands to ensure, they're all being caught at the facility, or what are the costs possibly associated with watermarking other brands as well?
Okay, so what we're basing our watermarking on is the Holy Grail 2.0 project, which is expanded to, I think, 150 different plastic manufacturers. So it is very much a global effort, and it's already with a bunch of manufacturers. So we don't have to make significant investments to expand that to other manufacturers. And the main concern we're looking at with Ansel particularly is distinguishing between the brands that they support in the Right Cycle program and the brands that they don't. And so the primary concern is having the QR and having the codes on the brands they support, so we can figure out which ones those are at the recycling plant. And the additional cost of adding the watermarks is not particularly big. There isn't public data on that, but we've looked at the Holy Grail 2.0 project, and it's not significant enough to discourage manufacturers from using it.
Also, adding on to what Arsh is saying, we researched a lot about the Holy Grail 2.0 project's progression. And in 2023, they already implemented their strategy at a recycling station in France where recycled plastic wastes were sorted with 95% accuracy based on brand. So it's certainly a successful emerging technology which can be leveraged by Ansel as well.
Cool.
Great. Thank you.
Rupesh?
Yeah. Yeah. Quick question around like the use of blockchain. Maybe help me explain why you need to use blockchain in this case. Like what's the difference?
Okay, so the motivation behind using blockchain is to create a traceable and reliable record of the recycling that is accepted by the entire industry. So what we're looking at is not a focused solution that targets one or two recyclers. We're aiming to transform the entire industry over time and promote sustainability throughout the industry. And the only way to do that is to promote transparency between recyclers. And blockchain is the best way that we have to do that because it's verifiable and it's independent. So we're using blockchain to promote trust within the recycling industry, essentially.
Wonderful. Can we move to Manish?
So my question is really around the application of the digital watermark on the products themselves, right? Because when I look at the gloves industry and Ansel in particular, we manufacture almost 10 billion single-use gloves per year. So interested in thoughts around the technology for the actual application of the digital watermark and how that would work, and of course, if any thoughts been placed on the costs to apply the digital watermark itself.
So we researched a lot into Digimark, which is a company which collaborates with the Holy Grail 2.0 project to create the digital watermarking. At scale, the cost of implementing these digital watermarks is very low because the film that they put, which acts as a watermark, is incredibly thin. And also at a large scale, because there's so much bulk, the cost per unit is going to be incredibly low. And then that cost is anyways going to be recovered by the cost of more successfully recycling the number of gloves, for example. So certainly from a cost standpoint, the cost of the digital watermarking is negligibly low as we've researched. And then of course, there's going to be a greater opportunity to get more return on investment once the gloves are recycled at the end. So that's the financial side of it.
Ina?
So my question is around how do we take this technology and put it at point of use? It sounds like your proposal is that the technology would be at the recycling center. And what we really need is a solution for where the waste is getting collected, which is at the customer facility. Have you thought through how might that technology be implemented there?
Right. So we can have the same watermarking system at the point of use as well. We can have a different sorting container, basically. That is decidable. But the base technology is the same using digital watermarks. And one more thing I'd like to add is we're focusing on the recyclers and not the point of use over here. because we think that changing consumer behavior is incredibly hard and it'll require a lot of investment and it's very distributed compared to recycling, which is collected into individual locations. So we think targeting the recyclers rather than the point of use is going to be much cheaper in the long term and also much easier to pull off.
Yeah.
Thank you.
So, Suhas? You are on mute, Suhas. Okay, till Suhas gets it back, Manish, maybe one more question from you.
Lena just took my second question, so
I have a
I'm good.
follow-up.
Go on, Lena.
I'm on now. I can
Yes,
ask a
Suhas.
question. My question is, how do you handle contaminated product with this technology? I can understand watermark can give you idea of who is making what, but how do you handle contamination?
For contamination, of course, because we're setting up high resolution cameras at the recycling station itself. There's gonna be various different lenses which can detect any sort of contamination, and for competitive brands, items that don't have the digital watermark that we're looking for, those are going to be sorted and put in a different bucket to the CleanGuard and Kimtech brands, which Ansel does support. So essentially what we're doing is we're splitting up the waste from the waste that we can recycle and then all other brands and contaminated waste.
Wonderful. We have a little more time left for a couple of more questions, or probably a question. Lena?
I did not understand how we were achieving the $50, I think it was, cost savings.
So the $50 cost savings, it's not specific to Ansel. What we meant there is that for the entire industry, recycling 1 ton of plastic waste saves $50 in economic value.
Okay. Thank you.
So if you're done with questions, Katie or Rupesh, you have any follow-on questions? Nope. Okay, so we are good on time. I can ask the judges to start scoring, and because I already have scores from Suhas, can I ask Suhas to please tell us what your superpower is?
Hi, my name is Suhas Apte. I had the privilege of working for Kimberly-Clark for many years, 38 years. I managed different businesses for them around the world, from baby child care business to personal care business to tissue business in Europe. And my last assignment was Chief Sustainability Officer. So I was involved with the Right Cycle program when it was created. And I'm excited that you guys are continuing with this program because we need to make this a better world and leave it at a better place for our next generation. I retired 12 years ago. I've been involved with TiEU for more than 15 years now and help mostly today high school and college education, college students with entrepreneurship program in Tampa.
Wonderful. Thank you, Suhas. So we never knew you were kind of the founding team of the Right Cycle program. So lovely to have you here. And with that, I have all the scores from the judges, and it's time for the last team to go pitching, but not the least, of course. Replastify, why don't you share screen?
Yes. Is it visible?
Hold a second. Yes, subscription-based recycling model for PPE. Wonderful.
Yes, so good morning, everyone, afternoon or evening, wherever you're coming from. This is Team Replastify, and we are here to present our solution model. Now, before I start, do you guys know that every single year, we humans ingest approximately 40 pounds of plastic during our lifetimes? Do you guys know that there's an estimated 1 million seabirds and 100,000 marine mammals that die from plastic pollution each year? And according to WHO, there is a shortage of PPEs, which is endangering health workers worldwide. Keeping in view of the same, Team Replastify has come up with an innovative and a practical solution where we offer a subscription-based recycling model for PPEs. This model not only helps us customers to recycle more effectively, but also incentivizes them to choose Ansel products adding value for both our clients and the environment. Now, coming to the plans, we will offer 2 subscription plans for our customers. The public plan includes free or discounted recycling for our Kimtech and CleanGuard products. The business plan, however, allows customers to recycle all brands of PPE, and customers who purchase more Ansell products will enjoy lower recycling fees, creating a win-win situation for both them and for us. Now, coming to the onboarding, it's quite simple. Customers choose a plan and receive color-coded or RFID enabled bins to streamline sorting. These are then collected, and at Ansell facilities, AI scanners and IoT sensors handle sorting and contamination checks. If contamination is detected, we notify customers immediately, ensuring transparency. Now, real-time insights are accessible through Power BI dashboards, where customers can monitor their recycling performance and track contamination rates. This data helps them optimize their practices and cut down on waste. Coming down to waste segregation. This involves both manual and advanced technology-driven processes to sort materials effectively. Manual sorting includes sorting stations, conveyor belts with manual pick-off points, hand sorting tables, magnetic separators for ferrous metals, and 8 classifiers for lightweight materials. Now, advanced technologies further enhance sorting efficiency through AI-powered systems, machine learning algorithms, robotic automation, computer vision, and IoT connectivity for real-time monitoring and optimization. Together, these methods can enable precise and scalable waste segregation. Now, coming on to the scraping part, here we have the current market rate for scraping processes and final selling rate for materials like polypropylene, latex, nitrile, and vinyl as shown in the table. Now, coming to the estimated growth and impact in the market. The global PPE market was valued at 83.91 billion US dollars in last year, and it is projected to go from $87 billion from this year to $128 billion by 2032, exhibiting a compound annual growth rate of 4.9% during the forecast period. Now, talking about the impact, assuming the recycling service gains some traction, it could enhance overall market growth. If even as low as 5 or 10% PPE users adopt the subscription model by 2032, this can contribute to an additional 0.5 to 1% in annual market growth. And with a projected PPE market size of $128 billion by 2032 and compound annual growth rate of 4.9, the recycling model could raise the total market size by $5 to $10 billion over the decade, bringing the market capacity to approx $134 billion by 2032. Now, coming to the environmental benefits, efficient tracking with radio frequency identification IoT sensors makes operations smoother, reducing unnecessary transport and associated carbon footprint. Emission reduction, however, come from these optimized processes, which directly support our commitment to a more sustainable operation. Now, the conclusion. This subscription-based recycling model not only provides an effective waste management solution, but also strengthens our customer relationships and contributes to a greener planet. It's a forward-thinking, responsible way to meet our today's environmental challenges while creating mutual benefits. Thank you.
Wow, you were like an express train, and that's why you finished ahead of time as well.
I mean, we're pretty confident about the project, so yeah. And for the questions part, I would like my teammate to take on.
Yeah, sure, buddy. Whatever you say. Okay, let's go with Lina then. Lina, they're up for grabs. Come on.
If you could take 1 minute to walk through I think it was the cost analysis and the numbers. It went by really fast. So I guess my question is, what are the cost implications, and how does this fee then cover the cost for us? If you could just walk through that again.
Screen share.
Yeah, please go ahead. Yeah.
Hello. Austin, please screen share. Okay, we want. So basically, okay.
This one?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yes. Okay. So basically, you see this?
Yes.
You want to answer the question, Shreyas?
So basically, this is not an rupees it's in dollar per ton, and it shows what is the current market rate for the scrap material, the latex nitrile, vinyl, and propylene, and the processing rate, which is the collection, the transportation charges, and the recycling
Okay.
charges, where we process it in the MRF, material recovery facility, through automation, manual sorting, and different processes. And finally, it's the rate, which is $1,000 per ton. So that means we have a profit of around $150, and in the
Okay.
various, okay, such like that.
Awesome. Ramesh, yeah, you have a follow-on question, Rina?
No, I'm good. Thank you very much for walking. That was very helpful. Thank you.
Ramesh.
So maybe like this went very fast. So like, what's the technical implementation of the solution? I get like AI and IoT scanners, and which are very, good terms to use, but what is going to happen at the point of use? Like, could you just take a minute to explain what's really kind of the solution at the point of sale, or also the point of use?
So initially we had the idea that we should introduce barcode or these watermark things, but we thought, because we are working in the industry, the heavy duty industries, and radiation prone industries, so we thought we should actually introduce RFID tags, and which basically, in the MRF facility, when the when the plastic materials, PPE waste, when it goes through, um, we have four different things. And the first one is the optical sensor. Then there is one. Uh, uh, then there is one. I guess color sorting materials. We do air jets and air jet classification. Then there is one rotary screens, in which the material rotates and we get the right material out of it. Then there is a vibrating conveyor belt, and through these processes, we actually sort the materials which we want and segregate the rest, which are dumped or burned. Yes.
Cool. Katie?
Yes, I am really interested in learning a little bit more about how the consumer signs up for the plan, and who is that consumer or customer, rather. And then what is the exact process for once they sign up for the plan? Do they get bins delivered? Do they then have to drive somewhere? What is that physically like? What is the process there?
So basically, what we have is we are making a simple plan. One is a basic plan, one is a business plan. The basic plan is for normal consumers, normal customers, someone like me, and small businesses, MSMEs, which produce these waste in small volume. And the professional one, the business one, is for the large companies. So what we do is, um, we ask them to actually give us those materials, because the customer has a better idea of what kind of material he is using, what contamination there could be. And so because we are incentivizing them, we are rewarding them, so it's their benefit. So actually, it's like luring them to do these things. And for businesses, we actually have tie-ups where they actually send us the materials, the PPE wastes, and we process them. So actually, we buy them. Simple model is we buy from them and we sell it to our partners or other customers.
Cool. Manish?
I don't actually have any further questions. I think all of them have been answered so far.
Wonderful. Suhas?
I think your presentation went too fast. Am I clear that you are creating a facility where all the material will arrive, or this will be done at user site? I got a little confused.
It will arrive, basically. It will.
So what is the capex required for Ansel to create this, and how can you scale it? Would you require multiple facilities, or?
So basically, we are just implementing on the ones which are already installed. And what we are using is we are tying up with our partners, and the different businesses like medical facilities, construction sites, and because they produce much larger wastes, be it gloves, be it shoes, be it PPE shoes, PPE helmets, anything. So what they do is they supply to us, and we process them, and we make it, uh, we recycle it in an environment-friendly way, and then we sell it. Yes.
So it's a new business for Ansel, basically.
Yes, sir. Basically, if we won't do it, it would happen eventually. So yeah.
Okay.
So Suras, please use all your contacts and get these guys in front of the Ansel board, maybe then. Yeah. I know one friend from Delhi who will go super fast there, right, Hassan? You are like a bullet train with your presentation. Slow down, buddy. Lina or Katie or Rupesh, any follow-on questions? If no, then may I request Rupesh to please introduce himself and let us know what your superpowers are.
Thank you for the opportunity. First of all, I work with Zoom, so all of you are actively using the product, and I got a couple of feature feedbacks right from this conversation. So thank you for using Zoom. My deepest gratitudes, and
please give spotlighting in the breakout rooms. We are not able to spotlight the timer.
I captured that feedback, so I'm going to make sure. But I work for the strategy team, corporate strategy at Zoom, and I love seeing students and younger generation taking on challenges and trying to come up with solutions which are multidisciplinary, which is what I focus a lot on, which is like not just the technology, but who's the customer and what are you solving for and how are you going to make this economically viable. So I try to focus on the multidisciplinary aspects of the problem, and great opportunity to be here and hear the next generation of entrepreneurs.
Wonderful. Thank you so much. I'm getting a little old. Am I sure that I've got all the judges to introduce themselves? Any judge left? Nope. Oh, Lina, I'm sorry. I am really sorry. Okay. Yes,
Don't
Lina.
be sorry. I think it's because I'm slow in voting, and it is Sunday morning, so I am slow in general. My name is Lena Heidel. I am the global program leader for RightCycle. Just have been recently acquired by Ansel, but prior to that, worked for Kimberly-Clark approximately 18 years, if I did the math correctly, in a variety of roles. In addition to overseeing the RightCycle program, I worked on various innovation projects on how might we divert waste streams out of the landfill, and very specific to Kimberly-Clark produced products. So I am very motivated and very inspired by all the work that you have done to try to solve this really difficult problem, not just in segregating waste streams, but also the economic models that are required. Because it's one thing to have the technology to help us segregate the waste as well as recycle the waste. If the waste stream does not have an economic value, it will not get recycled. And that's just the reality of the industry. So thank you so much for all of you for tackling this very difficult challenge, but it's also really important challenge. So I'm super, like I said, super inspired by the work that's been done.
Wonderful. And maybe because, like I said, the competition is nothing but a Trojan horse to really get these students to meet people with experience, real life, insight. So may I request probably each judge to probably take 30 seconds to kind of give some broad feedback, one thing that stuck to you and that you thought might be a good point for the teams to work on. Maybe I'll start with Rupesh, if you have something.
Across the board, I think teams did talk a lot about the latest technologies, including AI and IoT sensors and even blockchain. My push for the teams would be to go to the next level of detail and really think about the consumer behavior. Many times we put technology ahead of the customer, and that's really where the problem is. It's really the customer which matters the most, and think about how you can make the life of customers simpler, and technology is more of an enabler. versus technology being the reason why you're doing something. And I know it's very easy, even we at Zoom many times get tripped up. Oh, we have to use AI or we have to use this, but what's the real customer problem and pain point that you're solving is my push for for you, right? Think about the customer pain point, and hey, maybe like instead of using color coded pins, maybe I'm making it up. I'm not a PPE person, but maybe the color of the PPE itself is different, right? And maybe there's a much more simpler solution versus kind of implementing like this AI and IoT sensors and watermarking. So think about the core problem of the customer and how customers' life can be easier versus like the technology, because technology is really an enabler. It is not the answer.
Wonderful. I think very bang on target, because every deck that I see today with young students always has AI in it, right? So that is a little bit cliche. So Katie, any feedback from you?
Yes, thank you. To build off that, I'd similar advice I would say for all the teams is that level of detail, that next level. In terms of small business and just in thinking entrepreneurship, the design thinking basics really were represented very well across all teams. So I really enjoyed the prototyping. I thought the ideas, the identified uses, and the exploration of how that would all work was really well demonstrated. But things like marketing and education, we heard like touch points, but a little bit more because those are costs, right? And educating the consumer, I think someone identified as one of the biggest problem, whether it's businesses or home use. So like learning a little bit more about that, and how the folks can start to get more educated on the actual problem at hand and what they can do on a smaller level or a scalable level to help improve this problem across the board as well. So that would be really interesting and like a type next level type presentation. Maybe with a little bit more time, they'd be able to do that level of detail.
Wonderful. And keep that thought alive, because we're going to invite you to come to India and then probably see some of these guys taking it to the next level and pitching it on the global stage. Yep. So us.
I think I saw a kernel in everybody's presentation, which can be mixed and mashed. But with the theme, what other two judges said, I always believe in keeping it simple and stupid, because you need to learn how to implement it in real life and then you can build on it. But some of the stuff what you guys talked about can be added on into the solution what you are talking, from watermarking to, because some of you are solving solution for the industry, some of you are solving solution for Ansel, and I think we need to work through this to make it simple and stupid.
Wonderful. Thank you, Suhas. Manish?
Well, firstly, I feel very privileged to be part of this group and just to hear and see the level of creativity by all teams. I think you've done a great job at attempting some real challenges that we have when it comes to recycling used PPE. So I'd start there. But echoing the other comments as well, I think technology should be enabler to really solving a real customer problem or a challenge, right? And therefore, I know it's easy somewhat to think along technology of IoT and RFID and so on and so forth, but really distilling down to what is the customer problem that I'm looking to solve, and what is the simplest solution that drives that customer value or behavior change. So that's what I'd urge you all to do kind of going forward as you think about, separate challenges moving forward, is how can we distill this down into one or two very key ideas that we want to solve against based on real problems and challenges. And let's keep it simple, and then leverage technology as an enabler to overlay against that, to drive towards that solution. And then lastly, I'd say also think about the commercial aspect and how you would monetize or build a cost model around aspects like this, particularly when you're thinking through technology sitting at a customer location or at a third-party facility, right? So the economics of the overall solution and putting a bit more thinking into that.
Thank you. Awesome. And Lina?
I think it has all been said, but I'll just re-emphasize the economics, especially in recycling, is really important to address. So again, if it's not economically viable, it's not going to get recycled. And then also, there is a human factor, and as much as we want to use technology to overcome human tendencies, lean manufacturing principles is that you never blame the human, right? It's either your standard is wrong or there's a compliance issue. And how do we address the compliance issue? So just remember, there's always going to be humans involved, even with the use of technology. And how can we help them overcome the pain of change?
Awesome. Thank you so much, Lina. And like we said yesterday, right, the success framework for pitching in 5 minutes only works when you realize that it's human beings on the other end. So, you have to touch their emotions. You have to make it concrete for them, make it very simple so they're able to relate to the most important question that every single human being always asks: what is in it for me? The moment you answer that, you kind of, done your cakewalk into the presentation. So wonderful teams. It's been a pleasure hosting you guys. May I now request all the team members to go to the main room. Judges, you'll need to stay here. I will have a small deliberation with you. We will decide who the next president of America is going to be. So we will. Teammates, if you could just move to the main room. Thank you.